order to take up knitting as a hobby, a person has to have a variety of different things, such as different types of yarn to knit with, needles, and other knitting utensils. Currently, there are 8 different yarn weights that are frequently used in knitting. The lace weight is a thin, light fabric that does not weigh very much. It is used for intricate, delicate knits and designs. The super fine weight is a little heavier than the lace weight, but is still, as the name suggests, a very fine yarn that is used for knitting and crocheting. The next weight is the fine weight, which is commonly used when knitting clothes and socks, as it is heavier than other fine weights, but is still able to create small, close-knit patterns. Lightweight is similar to fine weight and is commonly used in garments such as sweaters and outerwear, like hats and scarves. Medium weight yarn is also used for sweaters, but this yarn type also begins to extend into home furnishings and other accessories, such as knitted or crocheted pillows. Bulky weight yarns are used for large blankets and rugs, as they are a thick, heavy weight, durable, and are easy to knit with, as they take up a lot more space than finer thread counts. Super bulky yarns are somewhat new to knitting, as they have mainly been introduced in art projects in order to showcase large-scale knitting designs. All types of yarn for knitting or crocheting are made from natural or synthetic fibers. Different types of yarn fibers have specific qualities, some good, some not so good. Often, manufacturers blend different types of yarn fiber to offset an undesirable characteristic. When choosing a yarn type for your knitting project, you consider the following. Wool, made from the fleece of sheep, is the queen of yarns, and it remains a popular choice for knitters. Lamb's wool comes from a young lamb's first shearing. Pure new wool, wool that's made directly from animal fleece and not recycled from existing wool garments. Shetland wool, made from the small and hardy native sheep of Scotland's Shetland Islands. Icelandic wool, a rustic soft yarn. Washable wool, treated chemically to destroy the outer fuzzy layer of fabric. Examples of fleece include mohair and cashmere, which come from Angora and Cashmere goats, respectively. Angora comes from the hair of Angora rabbits. Silk, cotton, linen, and rayon, the slippery, smooth, and often shiny yarns. Synthetic, including nylon, acrylic, and polyester. Straddling the border between natural and synthetic are soy, bamboo, corn, and other unusual yarns made by using plant-based materials. Novelty yarns are easy to recognize because their appearance is so different from traditional yarns. Ribbon, a knitted ribbon in a rayon or rayon blend. Chenille, although tricky to knit with, this yarn has an attractive appearance and a velvety texture. Thick-thin alternates between very thick and thin sections, which leads a bumpy look to knitted fabric. Railroad ribbon has tiny tracts of fiber strung between 2 parallel strands of thread. Fox fur, fluffy fiber strands on a strong base thread of nylon resemble fox fur when knitted. Some novelty yarns can be tricky to work with, others can be downright difficult. Identifying individual stitches in highly textured yarns is difficult, if not impossible, making it hard to fix mistakes or rip out stitches. Specialty, these traditional types of yarn create special looks in knitted items. Tweed has a background color flecked with bits of fiber in different colors. Heather, blended from a number of different colored or dyed fleeces and then spun. Marled is a plied yarn in which the plies are different colors. Variegated, dyed in several different colors or shades of a single color. Utensils. Knitting needles are more diverse than the average non-knitter might think. There are standard straight needles, which are a type that most people recognize most readily. But there are other needles specifically made for knitting larger and seamless garments. Double point knitting needles are specifically for knitting smaller garments that cannot have a seam, such as socks. Circular needles connect 2 needles with a cable that allows the knitter to knit large shawls, hats, blankets, and more. All three needle types can be made of metal, wood, or plastic and are available in several gauges to work with different weights of yarn. Some people learn to knit on a knitting loom, which combines peg weaving with knit stitching. There are round looms for knitting in the round-on objects like hats, rake looms for flat knitting, and knitting boards for creating double knit fabric. Knitting machines combine the general idea of knitting looms with mechanics to quickly manufacture knit fabric.